Today's lesson is going to be IXL Section K.15. That's the assignment for today. It's on graphing solutions to compound inequalities. I'm going to go through about 10 or 11 examples. We did this last class. The only additional thing that we're doing in this class is we also have to do the graph. Alright, so let me do some examples. I'll start off with some easy examples and they'll get more complicated as we go along. Okay, so as I said in last class, these are basically two problems in one. So I'm going to first do the left side, which is everything that's in the middle along with everything that's on the left. Because basically, like I said, this is two problems in one. So I'm going to write down here the problem. Now, just like when you have an equation, your goal is to get the variable by itself. You want to solve for the variable. This is not an equation because you don't have an equal sign. It's an inequality. That's what you call those symbols. So I still want to get a by itself. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the plus 20 by subtracting 20 from both sides. And let me just repeat that in Spanish. Lo que yo quiero es coger el variable solo en un lado de la inigualdad. Así que aquí está la A, le quiero quitar este 20, así que voy a hacer lo opuesto de sumar 20, que es restar 20. Y lo que se le hace a un lado, también se le tiene que hacer al otro lado. Alright, so once I do that, this cancels out because 20 minus 20 is 0. Okay, I have my A, I have the same symbol right here. And on the left side, 14 minus 20 is negative 6. Alright? If you want, or just for the sake of writing it in a way that's easier to understand, I'm going to write it with a variable first. All I did is write the A first, then the symbol, making sure to keep the relationship the same. Notice that the big side is pointing towards the A, so I kept it that way. And the negative 6 on the other side. You should always read it starting with the variable. It'll make it easier to understand. So A is a number, you don't know what it is, but it's greater than or equal to negative 6. Siempre se debe leer empezando con el variable. Así que A es un número, no se sabe lo que es, pero es más grande o igual a negativo 6. Y como dije, estos son como dos problemas en uno. Primero hice el lado izquierdo, que consiste de todo lo que está en el centro y lo que está a la izquierda. Ahora voy a hacer la otra parte, que sería todo lo que está en el centro y lo que está a la derecha. Alright, now I'm going to do the middle and the right part, which would be this. A plus 20 is less than 17. Let me do this in the middle to separate the two. Alright, so again, you want to get A by itself, so I'm going to get rid of that 20 by doing minus 20 to both sides. Le resto 20 a los dos lados. So that gets rid of this 20 here. I bring down the sign, and over here I got negative 3. So A is less than negative 3. A is a number, you don't know what it is, but it's less than negative 3. A es un número, no se sabe lo que es, pero es menos que negativo 3. Now I'm going to combine both of these in one answer. I'm going to put them together in one answer. Alright? Ahora voy a combinar las dos respuestas en una respuesta. Alright, so A is less than negative 3, but if you look up here, if you look at this one, it's greater than or equal to negative 6. That is my answer that combines both answers into one. Alright, so A is a number, you don't know what it is, but it's less than negative 3, but greater than or equal to negative 6. A es un número que no se sabe lo que es, pero se sabe que es menos que negativo 3 y más grande o igual a negativo 6. Ahora vamos a hacer el gráfico. Let me do the graph now. Alright, so less than negative 3, here's negative 3. Less than would be to the left. All the numbers less than are to the left. But it's greater than negative 6. And since it could be equal to negative 6, I got to shade in this part as well. Alright, so there's my graph. Okay, así que, so A is a number, you don't know what it is, but it's less than negative 3 and greater than or equal to negative 6. A es un número, no se sabe lo que es, pero se sabe que es menos que negativo 3 pero más grande que o igual a negativo 6. Alright, let's do another one. Alright, so same type of problem. I'm going to do the left first. That's one side, that's the left side. And the other side would be this. Or the other inequality would be this. Okay, ahí está el otro lado, los dos problemas. So I'm going to solve them both. I'm going to solve both inequalities, and at the end I'm going to combine the answer. Alright, so again, your goal is to get the variable by itself. Lo que queremos es coger el variable solo en un lado de la inigualdad. Alright, so I want to get the s by itself. Now, like I've always said, the number that's with the variable, you move last. First thing you got to get rid of is the +1 in this case. El número que está con el variable se mueve al final. Primero tengo que quitar este 1, haciendo la operación opuesta, que sería restar 1. So I'm going to do the opposite of adding 1, which is subtract 1 from both sides. That's going to give me 9 greater than 9s. Okay, and now I want to get rid of that 9, so I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 9, which is divide both sides by 9. Okay, ahora quiero quitar este 9 que está multiplicando con la s. Eso quiere decir multiplicación, cuando vean un número al frente de un variable, sin nada en el medio. Así que lo opuesto de multiplicar por 9 es dividir por 9. Así que divido los dos lados por 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So that cancels out because there's an invisible 1 here that you don't write. Okay, 9 dividido por 9 es 1. Así que esto se cancela porque hay un 1 invisible aquí. And on the other side, 9 divided by 9 is also 1. Alright, so there's my answer. Ahí está la respuesta para esta parte. If I want to write it, starting with the variable, it would be that. Si lo quiero escribir empezando con el variable, sería eso, s menos que 1. S es un número que no se sabe lo que es, pero es menos que 1. S is a number, I don't know what it is, but it's less than 1. Let's do the same thing on this side. Lo mismo aquí. Subtract 1 from both sides, alright? So, negative 17 minus 1 is negative 18. Alright, because remember on a number line, here's 0, here's negative 16, negative 17, negative 18. Whenever you subtract 1, you got to go to the left 1 unit. So if I'm at negative 17 and I subtract 1, I got to go 1 number to the left, so I'm at negative 18. Alright, this canceled out and I bring down 9s. Okay, so now to get rid of that 9, I do the opposite of multiplying by 9, which will be dividing both sides by 9, okay? Para quitar el 9, otra vez, hago lo opuesto de multiplicar por 9, que sería dividir los dos lados por 9. The 9's cancel out, so I got s greater than or equal to negative 2, because 18 divided by 9 is 2, and a negative divided by a positive equals a negative. 18 dividido por 9 es 2, y un negativo dividido por un positivo es un negativo. Alright, so this is the answer on this side. Now let me combine the two answers into one. Ahora voy a combinar las dos respuestas en una respuesta. Let me write it, because I kind of ran out of space. Let me write it over here. Alright, so s is less than 1, but greater than or equal to negative 2. I mean, as you can see from the pattern between this one and the one I did right before it, I'm putting the biggest number here, then putting less than, putting the variable, or less than or equal to. But basically, the bigger number here, the smaller number here, and the variable in between. For the problems that say or, which we'll see in a second, or as in the word or, we do it a little differently. I'll go over that in 1 second. But this is the answer combined into one answer. Now let me graph it. So less than 1, here's 1, I circle it. It could not equal 1, so I'm not going to shade inside. But less than is to the left. And it has to be greater than or equal to negative 2. So here's negative 2. All the numbers greater than are to the right. And since it could equal negative 2, I got to shade inside the circle. Okay, así que, so there's my graph. Así que ese es un número, no se sabe lo que es, pero es menos que 1. Si es menos que 1, pero no tiene la rayita abajo, la rayita abajo te dice que quiere que también puede ser igual a este número. Como esa rayita no está aquí, no puedo colorear dentro del círculo. Así que ese es un número menos que 1. Los números menos que 1 están para la izquierda. Ahora también dice que ese es un número más grande que negativo 2, que también puede ser igual a negativo 2. Eso es lo que significa la rayita abajo. Así que como puede ser igual a negativo 2, también tengo que colorear dentro de este círculo. And there's my graph. Alright, let me move on. Next one. Alright, now look, this is one that says or. And I mean, we did this last class, but I'll go through it again and show you why it says or. When you see the answer, you're going to realize why it says or. Okay, este dice or, que eso quiere decir o, m, que puede ser uno o el otro, pero no puede ser los dos. That sounded kind of funny. Eso quiere decir o. Alright, so look, I'm going to do the left side and then the right side, okay? So here are my two problems. There's one, and the other one would be m minus 13 greater than 7. Alright, so again, this one's easy. Again, I'm going to solve for the variable, so I got to get m by itself. Voy a resolver para el variable, así que tengo que coger el variable solo. First thing I'm going to do is, well, there's only one thing to do. I'm going to move 17 to the other side. So my answer for this one is going to be m is less than 17. Alright, over here, same thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add 13 to both sides. So I'm going to get m greater than 20. Okay, now to combine this into one answer, really, you would just have to write m less than 17, or you actually would have to write that. Or, you don't have to write the two lines. I just put that to emphasize that. Okay, because a number cannot be both less than 17 and also greater than 20. That's impossible. It's either one or the other. So whenever you have that situation, you have to write or in the middle. Okay? M es un número menos de 17 o también puede ser más grande que 20. Pero como es imposible ser los dos a la misma vez, un número no puede ser menos que 17 y a la misma vez más grande que 20. Eso es imposible. Así que cuando tienen esta situación se escribe en inglés or en el medio. Quiere decir que es m menos que 17 o m más grande que 20. Ahora voy a hacer el gráfico. Alright, the graph. So less than 17 would be like this. And I'll try to speed up the explanations because I kind of took a long time on these easy ones. Alright, and m greater than 20 is like this. And that's my answer. My graph. Ahí está la respuesta para el gráfico. As you can see, the number can't be both of those. It's either one or the other. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so same thing here. Let's look at this one. I'll separate it again into two inequalities. We got this one. And on the other side, we got this one. And remember, when you have inequalities, the main thing you got to watch out for is if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. We haven't had that yet, and we don't have it in this problem, but it is going to come up. But I'm just giving you a heads up. That's what you always got to watch out for when you have inequalities. Because that's the only thing that you do differently from this and from between this and when you have equations. Alright, so right here, I want to get p by itself. Estaba diciendo que cuando tienen inequalidades, lo principal que siempre tienen que tener en mente es tener cuidado si multiplican o dividen los dos lados de la inequalidad por un número negativo. Si hacen eso, recuerden que el signo cambia de direcciones. Todavía no lo hemos visto, pero viene pronto en algunos problemas. Alright, so that's going to give you p greater than 3. Over here, remember, the number that's with the variable, I move last. First thing I got to move is the plus 5. El número que está con el variable se mueve al final. Primero voy a mover el 5 haciendo lo opuesto de sumar 5. Alright, so when I do that, I'm going to have 2p less than or equal to 9 minus 5 is 4. Now to get rid of that 2, I divide both sides by 2. Alright. Para quitar este 2, divido los dos lados por 2. So p is less than or equal to 2. Alright, and p is greater than 3. Alright, so this is one of those situations, well, this is or. So the answer would be P is greater than 3 or P less than or equal to 2. You could have written it in reverse order. Maybe I should have written it in reverse order now that I think about it. But whatever, I don't think it makes a difference, okay? Se puede escribir este ponerlo a la derecha y este a la izquierda. No creo que tiene importancia eso. Alright, now the graph would be P greater than 3, like that. Or P less than or equal to 2. P less than or equal to. It could equal to 2 or less than. Alright, let me do another one. Alright, after this one, if the next one doesn't have a situation where the sign flips or something, I'll jump to one. Because so far they're looking pretty simple. Alright, so 2k minus 19 greater than or equal to negative 3. And the other one is 4k plus 3 less than or equal to negative 1. So again, the number that's with the variable you move last. The first thing you're going to move is the number that's by itself over here. El número que está con el variable se mueve al final. Lo primero que muevo es 19. So that's going to give you 2k greater than or equal to 16. And on the other side, first I get rid of the 3. I don't know why I did that. I should have finished this one, but whatever. Let me just continue. Okay, so 4k less than or equal to negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Alright, I like doing this because I'm trying to reinforce it in your brain how that works. And I know there's people that are weak at that. If you're at negative 1 and you take away 3, taking away 3, you always go to the left 3 times. And the numbers are going like this. Okay, si uno está en negativo 1 y resta 3, restar 3 siempre quiere decir ir a la izquierda en la línea numérica 3 veces. Okay, y va a caer en negativo 4. Alright, so now to get rid of the number in front of the variable, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Right here, the 2's cancel out. So k greater than or equal to 8 on this side. And over here, divide both sides by 4. This 4 cancels out. So k less than or equal to negative 1. Alright, now let's do the graph. Whatever, just to write the answer real quick together. I could write it like that. Or k greater than or equal to 8. Again, if you write it with the answers switched their places, it's fine. K less than or equal to negative 1. So that would be this. Here's negative 1 less than. Or k greater than or equal to 8. Alright, and there's my graph. Alright, let's look at the next one. Alright, now we have one with division. It's still easy, but I haven't done an example like this, so let's look at it. Alright, so again, it's the same thing where you have 2 problems in one. So I'm going to separate it. Here's the first problem, which will be negative 1 less than or equal to u plus 10 divided by 4. And on the other side, it's u plus 10 divided by 4 less than or equal to 3. Okay. Ahí están los dos problemas que tengo. Son dos problemas en uno. Igual que los otros ejemplos. Alright, so okay, so listen, if something looks different, just think about what you did when it looked easy and follow those same steps. So look at what I mean by that. I said the number that's with the letter, you move last. Alright, that 10 is with the U. So I'm going to move that last. I'm gonna get rid of this 4 first. Alright. Yo dije que el número que está con el variable se mueve al final. Primero se quita el otro número. En este caso, este 10 está más con esa U que este 4 que está separado aquí abajo. Así que primero voy a quitar el 4. Alright, so the 4, I always do the opposite operation. I mean, some of you already know how to do this, but I'm just going through it slowly for the people that, maybe you're not too good at this. Alright, this is telling you to divide by 4. So to move the 4 to the other side, I do the opposite of dividing by 4, which will be multiplying both sides by 4. Alright, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Esto te está diciendo dividir por 4. Así que para quitarlo de este lado y ponerlo en el otro lado, tengo que hacer lo opuesto de dividir por 4, que sería multiplicar por 4. You know what? Let me write that. Sorry. Let me write it over here, because if I write it in the front, it kind of looks like it says 4 minus 1, and I don't want to confuse anyone. Alright, así que estoy multiplicando los dos lados por 4. I'm multiplying both sides by 4. So on the left side, it will be negative 4. Over here, the 4's cancel out, and you have u plus 10. Now, obviously, for the people that already got this, the fast way is just move the 4 over here and multiply it. You could even do it in mental math. That's totally fine. In fact, I recommend it. If you already got that, do it mental math. I'm just going slowly because this is intensive math, and I'm trying to make sure everybody knows how to do this because it's super important. It's super easy, but it's also super important. All right, so if you already got this, feel free to do it a faster way because that's the way I do it, the faster way. All right. Okay, so now I still got to get u by itself. Quiero coger el u solo. So I'm gonna do the opposite of adding 10, which will be subtracting 10. Lo opuesto de sumar 10, que sería restar 10. Alright, so I'm gonna get u greater than or equal to negative 4 minus 10 is negative 14. Alright, if anybody doesn't get y, alright, just when you subtract 10, you always go to the left. And if you're starting at negative 4, the numbers are going like this, blah, 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 blah. Alright, so if you go, I meant to write, my bad. Mistake. That's what I get for trying to be funny. Alright, if you subtract 10, you're going to go 10 numbers this way and end up at negative 14. Basically, you're adding 4 plus 10, and the answer stays negative. Learn to recognize that pattern, and you'll be able to do these fast, okay? Si están restando 10, siempre se va 10 números para la izquierda en la línea numérica. Pero si están empezando en negativo 4, los números van negativo 5, negativo 6, negativo 7. Así que básicamente es como sumar 4 más 10 y la respuesta se queda negativa. Over here, same thing. First thing I'm going to get rid of is the 4 by multiplying both sides by 4. Okay, aquí la misma cosa. Lo primero que quito es 4 y como están dividiendo por 4, para quitarlo tengo que hacer lo opuesto de dividir por 4, que sería multiplicar por 4. So the 4's cancel out. Now I got u plus 10 less than or equal to 12. Now subtract 10 from both sides. And I'll have 2. Alright, so this is one where I gotta combine the answer because it's not or. It does not say or up there. Okay, este no dice or. Así que voy a combinar la respuesta. The combined answer would be this. U is less than or equal to 2. Again, I'm putting the bigger number on the right and the smaller number on the left. Estoy poniendo el número más grande a la derecha y el más chiquito a la izquierda. So U is a number. You don't know what it is, but it's less than or equal to 2, but greater than or equal to negative 14. Ok, así que U es un número, no se sabe lo que es, pero es menos que o igual a 2, pero más grande que o igual a negativo 14. Alright, and there's my graph. Ahí está el gráfico. Alright, I think we're almost done with the examples. Alright, let me do this one. So far, I still have not had one where the sign flips. I should have an example like that coming up soon, I hope. Alright, so again, the number that's with the variable, I'm going to move last. The first thing I'm going to get rid of is this number on the bottom. So instead of dividing by 3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. El número que está con el variable lo muevo al final. Primero voy a quitar este 3 haciendo lo opuesto de dividir por 3, que sería multiplicar los dos lados por 3. So right here the 3's cancel out and I'll have t plus 11. Esto en 11. Less than 9. Alright, on this side, same thing. Divide both sides by 3. Okay, so I'll have 2t minus 11 greater than or equal to 9. All right, now this one I'll be done fast. All right, because now the only thing left is subtract by 11. Okay. Aquí lo único que falta es restar por 11. So t less than negative 2. Over here, I still got 2 steps to do. Aquí me faltan 2 pasos. So again, the number that's with the variable, you move last. I'm going to get rid of this first. So this is going to give me 20. The 2t is right here. Alright, now I still got to get rid of that 2 by dividing both sides by 2. Okay, me falta quitar ese 2 haciendo lo opuesto de multiplicar por 2, que sería dividir por 2. So when I divide both sides by 2, I'm going to get t greater than or equal to 10. Alright, and this one has or in it, so my answer is going to be t less than negative 2 or t greater than or equal to 10. And to graph it, t less than negative 2 or t greater than or equal to 10. Alright. Okay, finally, I have one where the sign's gonna flip. Let's look at it, okay? Aquí tengo un ejemplo donde el signo cambia direcciones. Alright, so let me write the 2 inequalities. Alright, so in this one, the number that's with the variable, I move last. First, I'm going to get rid of the plus 3 by subtracting 3 from both sides. El número con el variable se mueve al final, así que primero quito el más 3, haciendo lo opuesto de sumar 3, que sería restar 3. So negative 7x greater than or equal to 14. Okay, now here we go. I'm hyping it up a lot. Okay, now look, to get rid of this negative 7 is multiplying with x. So to get rid of the negative 7, I got to divide both sides by negative 7. Okay, para quitar este negativo 7, tengo que hacer lo opuesto de multiplicar por negativo 7, que sería dividir los dos lados por negativo 7. Alright, whenever you have inequalities, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, the sign changes directions. Alright, like that. Okay, now here the negative 7 divided by negative 7 cancels out. And over here 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. On this side, just add 11 to both sides. And you're going to get x is greater than or equal to 16. Alright, so combined, my answer is x is less than or equal to negative 2 or x is greater than or equal to 16. And let me graph that. X is less than or equal to negative 2 or x is greater than or equal to 16. Okay, so there's my graph. Okay, now look at this one. We have not looked at one like this yet. It's simple. If you've been with me for a while, I hope you know how to do this because it's nothing difficult. But let's look at it. Okay, esta es diferente. Fácil, es fácil, pero luce diferente, así que vamos a mirarlo. Alright, so let me write out the problem. Negative q plus 10 plus 3q greater than 20. And on the other side, 7q plus 1 minus 10q greater than or equal to 16. Alright, so hopefully in your mind the word that I want you to be hearing, or the words that I want you to hear in your mind when you see something like this, is combine like terms. Combine like terms. Let me write it up here. Combine. In case anybody's like, what? What is he saying? Combine like terms. Alright, like terms means terms that are alike. Terms that have the same variable in the back, or terms that are just numbers by themselves. Okay? That's what I gotta do. Before I move anything, that's what you should do. So like in the first one, I'm gonna combine everything that has a Q. Let me just say that in Spanish real quick. Okay, cuando vean un problema como esto, lo primero que deben pensar es que tienen que combinar los términos iguales. Combinar los términos iguales antes de mover nada para el otro lado. Okay? Los términos iguales son, por ejemplo, los términos que terminan con el mismo variable. Que, por ejemplo, estos dos se pueden combinar. Y también los términos que son solamente números. Así que primero voy a combinar estos dos. Alright, so remember there's an invisible one here. So this is negative 1q plus 3q. When you combine them, it's going to keep the q in the back. All you're doing is in the front, negative 1 plus 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is positive 2. So that when I combine those two, I'm going to get 2q. I'll say it again. There's an invisible one here. When I combine them, the q stays in the back. You're just doing negative 1 plus 3. Alright, negative 1 plus 3. Negative 1. Whenever you add 3, you got to go 3 times to the right. And if you're starting at negative 1, it would be 1, 2, 3. You'd be at positive 2. Alright. Hay un 1 invisible aquí, así que es negativo 1q más 3q. El q se queda atrás. Simplemente están haciendo negativo 1 más 3, que te va a dar positivo 2. Alright, so now just to finish, I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. And that's a 0. And now I'll do it the fast way. Divide both sides by 2. So q is greater than 5. Okay, over here I'm going to combine like terms as well. Okay, aquí también voy a combinar los términos iguales. Alright, so all I'm doing is 7q minus 10q. All I'm doing is 7 minus 10 and keeping the q in the back. Okay, estoy haciendo 7 menos 10, que me da negativo 3, negative 3, y mantengo la q atrás. Okay, so now I'm gonna subtract 1 from both sides. Okay, now divide both. Okay, now look, now I got another situation where the sign is gonna flip. Aquí tengo otra situación donde el signo va a cambiar direcciones. Alright, so I'm gonna divide both sides by negative 3. Tengo que dividir los dos lados por negativo 3. I'm running out of space, alright, so let me write it up here. Okay, se me acabó el espacio ahí. So now this sign flips. Este signo tiene que cambiar de dirección. So it's going to be like this. And 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. Alright, so when I graph that, q is greater than 5. Or q is less than or equal to negative 5. And that's my graph. Ahí está el gráfico. Alright, I'm not sure if this is the last example. Let me check. 2 more. Let me, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip this one and jump to this last one. Alright, let me do this last one. Just because some people may find it that it looks different or weird, or I don't know. But just in case. Alright, so I'm going to do the left side. This is the last example. Este es el último ejemplo. Alright, so in both of these, the sign is going to flip. En los dos, el signo va a cambiar dirección. Alright, so on this one, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the 13 by adding 13 to both sides. So that's going to give me 13. Okay, now look, right here, again, there's an invisible 1 here. Hay un uno invisible aquí. So if negative 1 is multiplying with the h, and I want to get rid of that negative, do the opposite of multiplying by negative 1, which is divide by negative 1. Okay, si aquí hay un uno invisible que está multiplicando con la h y quiero quitar ese negativo 1, voy a hacer lo opuesto de multiplicar por negativo 1, que sería dividir los dos lados por negativo 1. When I do that, this is going to become positive h. The sign changes directions. And 13 divided by negative 1 is negative 13. Over here, same thing. First, let me get rid of that minus 17 by adding 17 to both sides. Alright, so I got that. Now let's get rid of the negative 2 by dividing both sides by negative 2. And the sign is going to flip. Ok, para quitar el negativo 2, voy a dividir los dos lados por negativo 2 y el signo cambia dirección. So it's going to be that. And I'm going to have h greater than negative 10. Alright, now I'm going to graph it. So h is less than or equal to negative 13. Or h is greater than negative 10. And there's my answer. So that should cover every type of problem that you're going to have on this IXL. Remember, you have to get to 100 points. If you don't get up to 100 points, I put a 0, even if you get like 99. However, you could make it up even after the due date. The only thing I want to remind you, though, is the semester ends next week. So I'll let you know soon when the deadline is to make up any IXL assignments. This concludes today's lesson.